Genetically Modified Food by Alex
and Cassie.
What is genetically modified food?
Genetically modified food is plants, animals, and bacteria that have been altered to enhance taste and quality, improve resistance to disease and pests, increase yield of various products, and enhances growth time. GM food is produced by genetic engineers and has been available since the 1990s.
Social impact! Genetically modified foods can be produced quicker, easier, using fewer resources, and what is produced is better for you, containing nutrients not usually found but can be genetically added. Food is produced quicker and can feed more people dealing with world hunger. Vaccines can also be genetically modified into food, thus making it easier to administer than pills or needles. Political impact!
Some countries, such as Japan and the European Union, view GM foods as a risk and ask for labeling and traceability of such foods, whereas the United States feels such labeling is not required and go against free trade agreements. This problem has caused many trade wars due to arguments over GM foods. Japan!
European Union!
United States!
Religious impact! Some religious groups see genetic modification as tampering with the way of life. Many see it as changing God's plan and say it's not natural because it's altering the normal way things were and have been.
Exploration of particulars of events. The first crop of GM food for commercial use was grown by a California company called CalGM. It was a GM tomato called the Flavor Saver, and it was submitted to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, for assessment in 1992. The FDA determined it was in fact a tomato, that it was not a health risk, and didn't need labeling. It was marketed in 1994, where it was accepted by the public even though it was more expensive. Soon after, more commercial GM crops were grown, including those that were insect protected and herbicide tolerant.
Connection to other mass hysteria events. GM crops were tested on the European market. The product was labeled and priced as an experiment to see if European consumers would accept GM foods. Everything was fine until the attitudes were drastically changed by an outbreak of mad cow, which destroyed consumer trust in government regulation. Protesters rallied against the introduction of GM soybeans afterwards. Effects and consequences!
Even though GM crops seem to be the answer to a lot of the world's food problems, there are many risks involved. One risk is seed contamination. Seeds that are meant for pharmaceutical use can be mixed up with seeds meant for food production. The fact that some seeds may have already been contaminated by pharmaceutical crops is alarming and could pose a huge health risk. Also, some GM crops and pharmaceutical crops might get mixed up in GM-free crops. Some GM crops might be worse for the environment instead of helping it. The results found in a test based in the UK showed that 2 out of 3 GM crops had a worse impact on farm life and wildlife than normal crops. Even though the third crop tested was better for the wildlife than its conventional counterpart, people against GM crops were pleased by the findings. But those who support it say even the fact that one GM crop was better for the environment shows that there is an advantage to GM crops.